Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. The concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that. My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land. In this case, the law of the state. Many states will be...
So he's very clear here. He starts by saying, you know, some sort of pro-life light commentary, like you shouldn't kill a baby in the later trimester. Don't kill a baby who's a newborn. Okay, great. 100% agree. And I think that, yes, most people can agree on that. He is right there. But then he goes on to really deliver the main core of his message, which is that it's up to the states. Roe v. Wade is overruled. Now it's up to the will of the people. It's up to the states, and that's where it should be. And this is the fatal flaw. This is the fatal flaw because this is not the pro-life position. It's not the pro-life position to say, let California go its way and let Texas go its way. Think about it. Let's break this down. We talked about slavery earlier. Imagine if that had been the abolitionists, the pro-freedom movement position. Okay, let the South decide to have their slaves. Just let us do what we want in the North and not have our slaves. Because slavery is wrong in our view, but they think it's right in theirs, so they're going to do what they want to do. That's not the position of justice. That's not a position that respects human rights. That's a position of right, of might makes right. The might makes right position says you have the power to persecute or to dominate X people, minority group, and therefore, if you choose to use that power, it is your right to do so. This is the idea of democracy is right at all costs, right? If the democracy votes on it, then it's okay. What that really is saying, if the mob rules, if the mob decides, lynch that man, hang that man, let that baby be killed, then the mob is right because they cast some ballots and they did it in a democratic process, right? They voted on it, and therefore it's okay. That's not how a country of rule, of law and rule actually operates. That's not how a country of justice actually operates. That's why we're not just a democracy, by the way, as a country. Because just a democracy, if everything was a thumbs up or thumbs down based on what the potential mob thinks, we'd have some serious issues. We're not just a democracy in this country. We're a democratic republic. There's more systems. We also have a judiciary. We also have we have multiple branches of government that keeps the other branches in check. So to say that it's okay and it's actually good for states to decide which children should live or die. Oh, the child can live or die in the 2nd trimester. In the 3rd trimester, oh, just the 1st. Only in the 1st trimester it's okay to kill the baby, but that's what we decide. No, you don't get to decide that. The pro-life position is this. It is always wrong to intentionally take an innocent human life. It's always wrong to do that. Abortion is the intentional taking of an innocent human life. Therefore, abortion is always wrong. Abortion is always wrong because it's the intentional taking of an innocent human life. We know it's an innocent human life because the science is crystal clear on that. Science shows us that human life begins at fertilization. We know this is a child at 3.5 weeks. The heart's already beating. Brainwaves can be detected by 6 or 7 weeks. I mean, it's amazing how quickly this child grows. This is a human life, a son or a daughter. That is the fact. And the other fact is that human rights are universal. They are inalienable. That means they belong to all of us. We all possess them by virtue of being human. Being human, it's enough that you are human. That gives you human rights. You can also say you're made in God's image. You are endowed by your Creator with these rights, as our declaration says. The first right is what? Life. What does the right to life mean? the right to not be killed. What does our Constitution say? The 14th Amendment says specifically that no state, mind you, has the right to deprive anyone of life without due process. The state does not have the right to create a law that says if you are in the first trimester, you can be killed. If you were conceived through sexual violence, you can be killed. If your mother and the doctor decide together that the mother doesn't want this baby, you can be killed, and you can operate as an abortion clinic with impunity. You may operate because someone who is stronger than this baby decided that the baby can be killed. That is not protecting human rights, obviously. And human rights mean that you have a right to live, and you have that right to live, that right to be protected by not just your state, but by your country. And if your state is violating your rights, then your country, the federal law, should step into play here. And that's where there is a responsibility for both our Supreme Court and for our Congress, our U.S. Congress, to take action. And President Trump here is saying, I'm washing my hands of this. He's saying, I'm washing my hands of this. I'm washing my hands of this. It's the states. It's the states. And it would be one thing if President Trump said, it's the states, because guys, I'm super pro-life. I want a federal abortion ban. This is wrong, but there's only so much I can do, guys. That would be one thing. And I still would disagree with him, but that would be one thing. But he's not even saying that here. He's taking a moral high ground here by saying that it should be the states. It's good that it's the states. But states, mobs, don't get to decide, should not get to decide who lives or dies. Whether little babies are dismembered in the first trimester and suctioned to death. Well, little babies in the second trimester are dismembered during live, excruciating dismemberment abortions and pulled out limb from torso from their mother's womb. Whether babies in the third trimester, like here in California, where it's legal to kill abortions through all 9 months, can be given a lethal injection and then delivered dead. Lethal injections for babies in a state where they don't even give lethal injections to criminal offenders who've murdered, serial killers who have murdered multiple people. You give the lethal injection to the baby for being unwanted, for the crime of being unwanted. And we don't permit the death penalty for others who are convicted criminals. How does this make sense? It doesn't make sense. It's not just. It's not reasonable. Unfortunately, this is the message that President Trump is pushing as the pro-life candidate. And it is deeply unfortunate. It's deeply tragic to see this statement from the president, from the former president.